Hey, what's up, everyone? I have a new card for you today. It is called Blue Confusion. Now, this is a really cool Limit 1 card that is just essentially a deck tutor for any setup or drill that has a sword or shield in the title, so attack or block, and you get to play it. If you're a Majin, though, you get to Rejuvenate 2, and then your next attack this combat is considered to be a copied attack, which is really, really strong, right? Immediately, it gets you thinking about Mimicry. It is a BAU card, though, and it's Limit 1, so as far as like how much this is really going to help those decks, it's kind of like, I'm going to look at it as like a Red Desire almost, where it's a really strong one-of card. Obviously, it's in the design space and idea of like Black Secret here, where it's like this really powerful Limit 1 setup that we get for, you know, insert X style, right? That's supposed to really talk about and empower a certain archetype in the style, right? Is it as strong as Black Secret? I think it's better in the decks that are going to be able to use that like second part of it. It's a watered-down Raditz, and Raditz is ultimately repeatable and much easier to like kind of pull off, I think, consistently in like Unity decks, for example, than this card. There really aren't too many ways to like straight up tutor this card, unfortunately, at this time. We do have, of course, Heroic Plan that doesn't really see a ton of, like, I want to say competitive play, or I don't really ever see anybody play this card, or at least I didn't for the longest time. That is a more powerful version of this card, I guess, unless you're a Majin, but if you're like a Hero Boo, you'll want this Blue Confusion over this, probably, you know, if you were going to slot something like this in, especially if you're Mimicry. Outside of Mimicry, it's still a really good card, but being a Limit 1, I would have almost preferred this card to be weaker, and then to have kept that second half of the effect. Like, honestly, just completely remake the first half of the effect, keep the second part of the effect, let it be a 3-of, take the trade-off even. Mimicry only if you really have to, if it's too strong, but that's just me. It's still a really neat card. Obviously, the best three targets for this card are going to be Blue Stretch Kick, Blue Blockade, Blue Key Buildup, right? These are your three main setups in blue that are like some of your best ones, really, outside of like the ally tutor ones. There are other cards, and this is not limited to only styled cards, but to just kind of gradually build up from it. These are going to be maybe the three main ones that you're going to be thinking about, I think, a lot of the time, if you're going to run this. Blue Recuperating Drill, unfortunately, and Blue Pacing Drill don't have those symbols in their attacks, so even though they can perform attacks, they aren't tutorable, which is a real bummer. I think being able to tutor Blue Recuperating Drill for like a Mimicry deck, for example, would have been massive, but you would have had to really reword the drill, or really open up this card to the point where like I don't think you could have kept that second effect. Of course, resourceful decks are going to like this card. Something that at least I noted way back when I would play Resourceful and other players would play Resourceful when it was more popular, was that black defensive burst completely shuts down your deck, right? So being able to tutor a Blue Blockade out of the deck, or even in this day and age when black's not really seeing a ton of play right now, kind of hit and miss, you could at least maybe flex a spot, like where like you had like a 1 or 2 key build up in your deck, you know, like maybe trade out a Blockade for a Confusion, or some other card that was like kind of fringe, like you didn't really know if you wanted 2 of it, or even 3 of it. This would be a great shoe-in for that as well. Of course, it is a 1-of again, so consistency's sake, like, I wouldn't focus too much on that second half of the effect, truthfully. If you're some sort of deck that really likes having triggers of setups entering play, for example, like this Raditz stack from the Fancy OP set, or the Krillin set, Krillin stack from Revelation here. Both of these two stacks really care about stuff entering play. Not to mention they just like have a lot of powerful setups and things. But having this is just like an extra way to build up consistency would be really nice for them. Obviously, blue is the best for it. Its card is like meant to obviously go get Blue's Absorbing Drill. And then what is kind of a little bit of a bummer is that if you were to proceed to, like, let's say first action in combat, or first, you know, before your opponent's throwing an attack at you, you were to use Blue Confusion to go get this drill. If you were to block it, their next attack with this drill, and like use the copy portion of the effect, it sucks, but like the two timings of these cards will enter the same combat, so you don't get to stack up the copied attack. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of sequencing, or maybe in the card that you want to choose if you're trying to pull off multiple copied attacks. You cannot tutor this card, but if you're looking ultimately for the consistency piece, getting the absorbing drill is going to be huge, especially for Boo. I'm trying to think. I don't think the Hero Boo can get. Hero Boo can get this card right out of the gate into his hand at least, but this is just another way to help ensure that you can see this card. So I really like it for that, and I think that's why it has to be a 1-of, honestly. I mean, just for purely the searching effect. Some other stuff that I think would be interesting of note is like it's just another card to help thin your deck out for blue training. It's another card that makes a trigger. Any cards that like recycle through your deck for more setups, blue training loves. I love blue training, so I have to mention it. And of course, Raditz does have double Sunday for what it's worth, like how Boo has absorbing drill. So that is another really interesting interaction that you could potentially use this for, like Raditz ball decks. This would be pretty nice for just being able to tutor a blockade if you need a block, or if you need to go get a crit something off the table, go to get double Sunday. Really good card, honestly. So, but I think those three are at least the three that come to my mind here. Obviously, the other Majin characters, I mean, they'll like this. Anybody really, at least considering to run Resourceful, should use this, and Mimicry should definitely use this. If you're Majin. Outside of Majins and Mimicry, other Mimicry decks, I don't necessarily know if they would run this. Probably not. I don't know. There's some argument for it, but I think this might get splashed here and there, but it's obviously meant to be a Mimicry Boo card. A couple other really interesting interactions with it, too, are going to be Android 20 Scouting Drill gets taken by this, and then Afterimage Technique. This one's probably the most interesting interaction that's not like maybe something that comes to your mind right away. Being able to just like have another way to get this card out to flip something into your pile. What is also really great about this is if you were to tutor this card and then use it as a block, your next attack is going to be focused. And I think that's something that like everybody forgets about, because I always forget about it on this. So especially in a Mimicry deck where you really want to land that copied attack, all of a sudden being able to go into it, next attack is copied, and it's going to be focused now if you use this, like that's pretty strong. That's really nice in terms of just like helping you get off that copied attack with the Mimicry Master for that unendurable damage and a card draw. So something to keep in mind there as well. Really, probably one of the better combos that you're going to have with this card, in my opinion. And of course, Invasion Drill. Especially if you're Mimicry, I guess if you maybe splash allies, but any deck that might be splashing some allies, this is maybe worth a consideration. If you have allies in hand in a pinch, again, is getting this better than a blockade drill? Or sorry, blue blockade, for example. It does similar, obviously, to both things block. I think this is being a repeatable card is really nice, or if you really want the anger. But I'm not really sure how many nod. I guess we'll see, you know. It's just like this card is ultimately very good, and if you focus too much on that second half, you're going to forget that tutoring for any of a certain card of your deck is always good. Tutoring for cards is just always good. This is, at worst, with all this said, a fourth copy of a stretch kick, or a fourth copy of a blockade, or a key buildup, and that alone is enough to make this card playable. It does suck that it's BAU. It does suck that second half of the effect I'd rather have on some card that could be a 3 of, and or traitless for Mimicry, but still a really cool card. I like the design. I like these fun, big, powerful, you know, one-of cards. They are at least interesting and fun and splashy. So of course now we have like Red Desire and these two. I can't think of a Saiyan one off the top of my head, but yeah, really cool. I hope to see more cards of this kind of maybe flavor at least that second half for sure. Not so much tutors, but more that second half is just really cool. This card's making me want to like build a few things and like maybe look at it. But being a one of, it's hard to say that it's going to really make like a meta splash per se. Just being a one of versus like a 3 of or something. But yeah, let me know what you think here, guys. Anyway, take it easy. Peace.